My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And this is a movie I was very excited for. The first movie took a bunch of characters that nobody knew about and turned them into fan favorites. That movie is filled with style, personality, and the soundtrack is iconic. The second Guardians of the Galaxy movie is actually my favorite MCU movie. It's hilarious and a very emotional movie that touches on all relationships of the people around us in such a thoughtful manner. It's also visually stunning, and those two movies are just some of the best superhero movies ever made. So for James Gunn to come back to deliver on his send-off to these characters, I was very excited for. And it's the greatest disappointment of 2023 so far. This movie is fine. I liked it. I enjoyed myself enough. But this movie is easily the worst of the three. Well, let's get into what I did like. And it is an entertaining movie. There's always stuff happening, and I was entertained at the very least at all times. I was never bored, and that's a good thing. I think the standout in this movie is James Gunn's direction. I think this guy is just simply filled with talent. Visually, it is so much better looking than every other MCU movie coming out nowadays. It's filled with personality, and he just puts so much thought into it. There's a section of the movie where these guys are wearing these suits, and I love what he did with that. I thought the makeup in this movie looked great, and there's one scene at the very end of this movie which I totally dug. If you've seen it, you can probably guess which scene it is. But man, this script just did not do it for me. I thought it was just about lacking in every sense. It's going for some very thoughtful ideas. Lots of this movie reminded me of Noah's Ark and how we were made imperfect and there's a God who wipes us all off. I think it focuses a lot on those ideas of the relationship between creator and its creation. I think there's also something there about second chances, but I wish it kind of leaned into these themes a bit more. It doesn't feel as ingrained with the story and characters as much as I would have liked. I also thought the first 5 minutes of this movie was honestly my favorite. I was expecting to love this movie from the way it begun, and a big part of that is that we see the weight of what happened in Avengers Infinity War and how that affects Peter. He lost the woman he loved, and he's struggling with that. And I think everything with Peter and Gamora was actually a highlight of this movie until it kind of just gets forgotten in the second half. And truthfully, I wish it was the main focus. I wish it was the priority for this movie because that's what really worked for me. We also got lots of Rocket's backstory, and it's good. I just think people are over-exaggerating just how dark it is. It's dark, but I don't know. Just the way people were talking about it, I was expecting it to be so much worse. My biggest issue with his backstory, though, is that it happens throughout the entire movie. So flashback here, flashback there, and it completely took me out every single time. I think it would have been better to just do what Toy Story 3 did with Chuckles the Clown and just have a scene where we get one cohesive, consistent flashback instead of constantly cutting back, because that form of storytelling did not work. And without giving too much away, I wish the main plot of this movie was that Rocket was kidnapped. I feel like then the flashback would have come in a bit more organically. Also, like the overall structure of this movie is very weak. It's okay. This happened, so now we have to go heal, and then okay, well that didn't work out, so now we have to go heal. It's just it feels a bit empty. Unfortunately, it's just very loosely structured, and as a finale of this franchise, of the Guardian of the Galaxy movies to be specific, especially as directed by James Gunn, I found it to be completely unsatisfying. The way this movie ends just did not work for me in any way. Don't want to give anything away, but yes, it was a really weak conclusion, and I felt like it had no real weight behind it, unfortunately. I like the soundtrack choices. I mean, you've got Do You Realize by the Flaming Lips. I like that song. You got In the Meantime by Spacehogs. I like that song. You got Creep. I like that song. And you got San Francisco by the Mowglis. But the utilization of most of these songs is actually terrible. It feels like they're there out of obligation now instead of just being a consistent part of the movie. Because, like, I was excited when I heard San Francisco was in this movie. That is such a great, fun, upbeat song. And I'm not gonna lie, I pictured an action scene set to it because that song has lots of energy. And it just plays for like 5 seconds in the background when Gamora is doing something. And I'm like, really? That's it? I don't know, it just felt like a waste. I was not impressed with the use of the soundtrack here. The humor was pretty good for the most part. I never laughed out loud, but I'm just like, huh, that's funny quite a few times. There was one scene though that just felt off to me when it just randomly has Gamora in a toilet, and I don't know, that just seemed really weird. The cast does a really good job though, and that's a big part of why I still like this movie. Because they're just great characters. You know, you've got Groot, and he can be a real beast in this movie in moments, and I really dug what they did with him. But even what Chris Pratt brings to Star-Lord, this guy is a great actor. He has so much range, and he has lots of charisma and personality. I think he does a great job here. Plum Clementif, I do like as Mantis, and for lots of this movie, I really enjoyed her character. Hated the note they end her character on. Felt like it came out of nowhere. I'll say that. Dave Bautista, I think, does a really good job. Karen Gillan does a really good job as well as Nebula. So is Zatanna. Like, man, she needs more recognition. You know, everyone talks about how she's in some of the highest grossing movies of all time, and that's true, yes, but man, she's incredible as Neytiri, and she's incredible as Gamora. Then you've got Will Porter as, what was the dude's name again? Adam something? I totally forgot. Anyways, this character is just completely unneeded. I do not know why he was in this movie. The acting is fine. I just wish he was used better. Maria Bakalova voices Cosmo, and she's fine, but the character is just one joke pretty much. Sean Gunn, fine, and then we get to the villain played by Rudy Iwajiri. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. I thought he was a very bad villain. He was very flat. You can see the potential with the ideas they're going for, but man, once again, they just don't lean into the ideas nearly enough, and he just doesn't have enough to do, enough to work with, and by the end, I was kind of just, didn't really care for him. So, yeah, like, this movie's got a great cast, it's very well directed, it's visually stunning, it's still got lots of personality, and it's consistently entertaining, but it's definitely a step down from the other two movies. It's very lacking in the script department. It doesn't have as much weight as it should have. The characters don't have enough growth. And it's just a very unsatisfying finale. So, I still liked it. It's disappointing, no doubt, but I'll still give Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 a 6 out of 10. And this is one of the last MCU movies I will ever be excited for. I do not care about Captain Marvel 2, I do not care about Fantastic Four, I do not care about Blade. The only other MCU movie that could get me excited is Doctor Strange 3. That's it. So, yeah, like, I do not care about the King Dynasty. I just, yes. Actually, even in terms of superhero movies, it's going to be Doctor Strange 3, the Spider-Verse movies, and that's it. I don't expect to get excited for a superhero movie except for those ones. So, yeah, I don't know. The end of an era, I guess, of anticipation for the next MCU or superhero movies. I'll still go see most of them, but reluctantly. Especially The Flash. I do not believe that Flash is as good as people are making it out to be. The trailers look like a piece of shit. Let's get nuts. Really? Ugh, frick, I hate that. Anyways, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin, out.